They have set us the exercise of generating an Excel spreadsheet with a series of data that we have about income and expenditure. What have we had in the 12 months of the year as shown in table, and it gives us these data. January, February, March, etc. And that asks us to create a bar chart with them. We see that the columns are grouped, that is, the income and expenditure for January are together. They are in a group of 2 data. We see that, in the category axis, the months are indicated at an angle. At the bottom, we have the legend of income and expenditure and, well, the axis that indicates numerical data. And we also have an indicator above each of the data bars that tells us the exact figure that goes in this position. So this chart is a very comprehensive chart since, besides giving us an idea as to the trend, the general outlook, the relative aspect of data in relation to each other, it also indicates the exact data for each month and for both concepts. Okay, so we go to the Excel spreadsheet, and what we have been given is a data table. In this data table, we have the income and expenditure for the 12 months. Well, we would insert a column too in this gap here to put the months, and from here write them January, February, March, and so on until December. Okay, we know that Excel has a set of header lists that we can use simply by using the fill down function. It recognizes that January is a month. It is the first month, so in the next columns, if we tell it to populate the cells below by filling down, we see that in effect in the 11 following cells it will complete the 12 months of the year. From there on it would start putting those of the following year. Okay, we already have the data that are to be the subject of our graph. To make an Excel chart, we have seen that is a very simple task, as straightforward as selecting the data that we want to be represented in the chart and inserting a chart in the position they have told us, both in the current page, in our spreadsheet, or in a new spreadsheet. Okay, these would be the numerical data. The selected range has exactly the data that we are going to represent. But we have also seen that the chart includes a series of additional elements that complement the information of the chart and make it much more elegant. For example, we have seen at the bottom we have to include the legend. The legend, what it tells us is what the bars of a given color represent. All of the data that are in this column will be represented in columns of a given color. Okay, this color will be assigned to income and the other to expenditure. But of course these words that I use, it is not right here that I would have to enter them later, enter a key and indicate these words, because they are already there in the cells of my spreadsheet. They are positioned where they indicate that this column is expenditure and this one is column is income, so the range I have to select must also include these titles. This title, income and expenditure, 2 headers. Okay. The next thing we have to do is to say that we have seen that, in the categories axis, there is a theory that they are the months of the year and these months of the year are represented in the horizontal axis. So there we ourselves, the normal thing would be that we do not enter the values January, February, March, etc. again in chart, because we have them right here. What we have to do in reality is the data, the headers of the data ranges, and also the categories that indicate what each of them is. Excel, when it sees a range of this kind, straight away it will realize by the nature of the data we have here, because these are alphanumeric data, and all of these are numerical data, straight away it will recognize that the data will be columns B and C, the range that we defined at the start, and that the other column is going to be the auxiliary elements that it will enter in both the category axis and the corresponding legend. So here very easily, we say insert a bar chart. We choose the clustered columns option, which is what it asks us for, and automatically we see that it gives us a solution more or less close to the design that we had requested. Okay. We can also refine the design since the different designs that we have here enabled in the moment. We have the Design, Layout and Format tabs, the Charts tools. We can select any of the designs and see what it is they had asked us for. Looking through them all, for example, we see that this one in particular is the one that represents with the legend at the bottom and data indicators for each of the values, and the months or categories along the horizontal axis. Okay. The only thing left for us to do, according to what they have asked us for the sheet to be embedded in the current spreadsheet, or we could move it to generate a new chart, a new sheet containing the chart and which is logically immediately before, the spreadsheet we are working on. And finally, these would be the two possibilities that we have by way of solution, either embedded or placed in a new spreadsheet.